Welcome, family and friends, to Part 3A, Putting Up Corn, in my series, Preserving Your Own Food. I secured a big box of yellow sweet corn from a local produce market for about $25. There is 48 ears in this box, and I'm going to show you two ways that I put up corn: on the cob in the freezer and off the cob in the freezer. So first step for putting it in the freezer on the cob, and this is really very simple, is just to cut off both ends of the corn, remove a few of the outer husk, and then pop it in a Ziploc bag. That's all you have to do. It's so easy and fast. The only drawback is if you don't have a lot of freezer space, this doesn't work well because this does take up some room in your freezer. My grandson Carter loves corn on the cob, so I have got to put up some of this corn on the cob for him. And I use giant freezer Ziploc bags. I put 4 ears in a bag. And to cook this, all you do is pop it out of your freezer, put it in your microwave. I usually cook mine 2 at a time, 4 minutes per ear in the microwave on high, and it is delicious. The husk and the silks fall right off. So that is how to put it up on the cob. Now I'm going to show you how to take the corn off the cob and put it in freezer bags. So you're going to have to shuck the whole corn, and this corn had 0 worms in it. It is so pretty. It's from Georgia. It's very delicious, very sweet, yellow corn. So I took my time and took all the husk off, the rest of the batch, and I cut off the end, one end, and make sure that it's no damaged spots on it. If there are, you cut those out. And I did the whole box, shucking it 1 ear at a time. And on your stove, you should have a nice large pot of water boiling at this point, because you're going to have to blanch this corn. This is how I get the silks off my corn. I just take a clean washcloth and I just wash it. I don't like to use the brushes because they do tend to rip the skin of the corn. So I just take a washcloth and just wipe the silks off and rinse them. It works for me. I have very few silks on the corn after I wipe them off really well. So you wash all your ears of corn. And then you've got your pot of water boiling over on the stove. And after you've washed, you just toss in your corn. And this will boil for about 3 minutes. Make sure you set a timer because you're just very lightly blanching these. So I set the timer for 3 minutes. Let the corn continue to boil. And then you're going to take it off the water. You don't have to ice bath this. I just ran some cool water over it after I took it out of the pot. But you're gonna let it cook for 3 minutes and then take it out and do your next batch. It smells so good. Again, you just run some cool water over these hot corn cobs, drain them, and then just let them sit. Now this is how I cut my corn off the cob. I set it in a bundt cake pan, and with a very sharp knife, I just run down the sides of the corn. Not too deep into the cob, but just on the outer edge, getting the corn off of the cob. It's pretty simple, and when you use a bundt pan, it catches all those little kernel pieces. Again, you've got to use a very sharp knife to do it easily. And you just run your knife down all the pieces of corn, and it falls right into the bundt pan. Then I take a spoon and I'll start spooning it in freezer bags. You don't need any liquid added to it. You just put in your corn kernels in a freezer Ziploc bag. It's that simple. You fill up a quart-size bag. Make sure you get all the air out of it. You could use your food saver with this. I tend to save mine for meat, but you could do your food saver bags with the corn. So there you have frozen corn 2 ways, on the cob and off the cob. It's pretty simple. Now, if you don't have a garden or a farmer's market and you don't have a big freezer, this is an alternative, and this is dehydrating frozen bags of corn. I pulled this out of my freezers to make more room. You just take, and this is a 24-ounce bag of frozen corn. It's still frozen. I just tossed it onto my dehydrator tray. I think I did a half a bag per tray. Break up any lumps. You smooth it all out, and you're going to dehydrate this, and it will actually reduce down in size and save you some room in your freezer. This works perfect for people who just don't have the time or a garden. They don't have the space for a big freezer. So you can dehydrate it, store it in bags or jars, and then rehydrate it later for use. So I took 2 bags of corn, that was 48 ounces of corn, and I put it in my dehydrator, still frozen, and I set it on the vegetable setting. I believe that was 135 for 10 hours. Just set it on there and let it run all through the night. Very easy. And the next morning when I got up, the corn was done. And see how much smaller it is? I could get those 2 big bags of corn into 1 quart jar. So I just very carefully slide it into the jar. This saves space, it saves time, and it's just another way of preserving corn for use later. And the only thing you have to do is add warm water to rehydrate. Now, you would not cook this whole jar. Remember, this is 2 big bags. So you only take out what you need. Put a lid on it, oxygen absorber in it, and you're good to go. Part 3B will be pressure canning corn, so stay tuned for that. Thank you.